announcement that we get to make today. I want to begin by acknowledging members of our team, in particular our Chief Legal Counsel, Paige Scott Reed, Deputies Adam Hornstein and Dara Kesselheim. Also, and standing with me, Secretary Terence William, assisted by Deputy Secretary Sue Terry of the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, Chair Tina Hurley, and members of the State Parole Board who serve as the Advisory Board of Pardons and conduct the initial petition reviews. We're also joined here today by a number of our elected officials, and we welcome members of the General Court who are with us today and thank them for the work that they do. We also are joined today by leaders in the civil rights and legal community. We have members of the Urban League, the ACLU, Mass Bar Association, Greater Boston Legal Services, private law firms, and representatives from Prisoners Legal Services, as well as the Women in Incarceration Project at the Center for Women's Health and Human Rights, among others. And there are other guests who have joined us here today. And importantly, we have members who you will learn more about as we go forward, but Glenn and Lisa King are here to my immediate left. One of the most significant powers that a governor gets to exercise is to grant clemency for past violations of the law with the advice and consent of the governor's council. It's an important responsibility. It's one I take very seriously. As former Attorney General and Chief of the Civil Rights Division, I believe deeply in our justice system and the important work of making it more fair and equitable for all of our residents. As governor, I also believe in honoring the courage and compassion of our state and its people. In recent decades, governors have not issued clemency recommendations in their first term, let alone in their first 6 months. But I believe, and the Lieutenant Governor believes, that justice delayed can be justice denied. I believe our approach to clemency should reflect our state's commitment to justice that is timely, fair, equitable, and compassionate. So today, I am recommending 7 individuals to the Governor's Council for pardons of past convictions. These are folks who were convicted of crimes many years ago at a young age. They accepted responsibility for their mistakes and paid their debts to society. They've spent decades abiding by our laws, supporting their families, volunteering in their communities, and in many cases, living exemplary lives of service to others. They want to continue this service, but they face barriers and uncertainties because of their long ago convictions. They are people who have redeemed themselves many times over and now seek closure to be able to move on in their journeys. Glendon King is with us, and you'll hear from him today. He's a father of 6, a grandfather of 10, a great-grandfather to 1. Glenn is a U.S. Army and Army National Guard veteran who was honorably discharged in 2001, before going on to serve for 20 years protecting his community with the Boston Fire Department. His convictions happened 3 decades ago. This is a man devoted to family who has given back to his country and his community year after year, and his community supports his pardon. Each of these petitioners has a similar story of embracing second chances and redeeming past mistakes. John Latter is a career nurse who wants to volunteer his skills in retirement, but a conviction from 57 years ago stands in his way. Xavier Del Valle, since being convicted at age 19, has earned his GED and given back to his community by volunteering. He's an airline worker now who wants to become a mechanic and join the military. Edom Ahmet is in the midst of medical treatment for prostate cancer and is seeking pardon for a drug conviction 28 years ago. Gerald Wolawanda is a father of 2, active in his church and community, convicted of a drug possession when he was 18. Debbie Pickard is a licensed social worker, sober for 29 years, who helps others suffering, like she did, from childhood trauma and substance use disorder. As individuals, these men and women have been carrying the burden of their convictions and dealing with consequences far beyond their legal sentences. They deserve compassion, and pardoning them is the right thing to do. At the same time, their cases reflect the potential that clemency holds to strengthen our justice system. So, to that end, in the coming months, our administration is going to have the opportunity to provide our state's clemency guidelines. Our legal office is working with stakeholders across the community and our partners in government to build consensus around the purpose and potential impact of pardons and commutations. What we know is that clemency is a fundamental and important right of our justice system. It provides an opportunity to soften the harshest edges of this system. And today, we have a much better understanding of where those harsh edges are and what we need to do to address them. So we are looking at ways of ensuring greater fairness and timeliness in reviewing petitions. We're looking at clemency as a potential tool for mitigating racial disparities and other inequities. We're looking at modernizing clemency to account for the science of brain development and how people's judgment can improve through early adulthood. Young people change and grow. Another person you'll hear from is Terence William. He and his wife will join us in just a moment. Terence has been working as a public servant for the City of Boston in Boston Water and Sewer for over 3 decades. He has long been active in his community, even starting an organization to take kids on trips outside of the city to play basketball. But 39 years ago, in 1984, he was in school, horsing around with a friend. He got arrested for fighting, ended up being judged delinquent by the juvenile court. His friend didn't press charges. His friend remains his friend to this day and supports his pardon along with members of their community. Terence's experience, like those of fellow petitioners, teaches us something about justice. Justice consists not only in punishment and not only in forgiveness either. Justice requires understanding. And justice requires the courage to take action and to do better, not only as individuals, but as a system. That's why we're committed to advancing justice together as a state and as a commonwealth that believes in truth and progress. We look forward to working with our Governor's Council as they advise and consider these recommendations. I want to thank all of our recommended petitioners for their patience and perseverance, as well as their families. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Glenn King to share more about what this moment means for him. Glenn.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the governor and her staff and everybody else involved with this so much. I'm happy, very, very happy. Thank you so much. To make a long story short, I'm going to make it as quick as I can. I was born in Jamaica, I grew up in Boston, went to elementary school in Boston, went to Latin Academy in Boston, and eventually went on to University of Pittsburgh and joined the Army after that. Life was going great for me. But for whatever reason, when I came home in the late 80s, peer pressure was everywhere. It was rampant. It was nothing you could do about it but join whatever there was to make life happen. So that's what I did. Unfortunately, that was a wrong decision. I regret that up until this day. And I don't know, all I can say is those that, America's a land of opportunity. The opportunity is there, you just gotta make it happen, okay? There's the right way and the wrong way. I eventually took the wrong way for a short moment of time, but I got right back on track. The fire department was nice enough to accept me. I appreciate that too. And I've been living large ever since. Thank God. That's it.
And it's great to be able to welcome Glenn to the State House. We are welcoming him back to the State House because during his time as a firefighter for 18 years?
At this firehouse, yes.
On Cambridge Street, he actually responded to many calls here in this building. And so I just want to note that and say it's particularly special to invite you back in this capacity. We thank you for your service, and we look forward to all that is to come for you and your family. Thank you very much, Glenn. At this time, I'm happy to take questions. I don't know if Terence, who's also working, he's going to be, he's just a few minutes? Okay, so we'll go out of order, but I ask you to stop with questions when Terence arrives here, okay? All right, he's coming from work.
So why do you think you're different from the history of so many pardons so early in your administration?
To me, it's just the right thing to do, and I want to thank the legal team. We talked about this a lot. I have long been a proponent of criminal justice reform, and have been interested in making sure that our system is fair and equitable. We know through time, through so much study, of the systemic inequities and disparities that exist. We also, though, have the opportunity to do something about those disparities, and we have to operate across a number of realms and make sure that we have the resources there for programming, for training, so that young people today have the opportunities and the positive opportunities. That's very, very important, those investments. And we also need to take a hard look at what's happened within a system and ways in which we can change that. And this is a way that we can change that. And I come to this as an attorney general and somebody who formerly held the Civil Rights Division, working alongside any number of advocates, and I appreciate the role of advocates here and lawyers and others who've pushed, including pushing on government for criminal justice reform. There's obviously a lot more work to do, but our attitude is in this job, in this administration, the charge to everybody is make the most of each moment, every day, across all agencies, across all realms. And if there's something there to operationalize and implement, then let's go and let's get after it. And as I say, this is part of it, and we look forward to working with the Governor's Council and hopeful that they'll be acting on these recommendations.
This is an unusual less than 6 months into your first term. What would you say to folks who say maybe of more pressing matters to focus on in the first 6 months?
There are no doubt any number of pressing matters. You cover them regularly and importantly report on them regularly. But I think we're a team and an administration that's able to operate on multiple fronts. This to me is a no-brainer. So, people may credit us for early action on this. To me, it just goes back to justice delayed is justice denied. And it was simple to act on this with the quality of the petitions, the work of the legal team and the Governor's Legal Counsel's office, and it was right to take this action today.
Talk about some of the, Mr. Williams, I'm not sure about Mr. King, their cases have come pretty far before, have come very close to this point, but you're the one who's actually taking the step to recommend this. I don't know if they have anything to say about that. I know he's not here yet, but can you speak a little bit about that? Just how some of these cases have come pretty far.
They have, these are recommendations that existed, but, as governor, I now have an opportunity to act on them, and we were both pleased to act on them, and we look forward to further work in this area. I don't know, Glenn, if you wish to say anything or not.
Not really. I mean, this started from the.
Step up to the mic.
Yeah.
This started from Governor Baker's administration. It's been a long process. When he departed, Governor Healey took over. It's now her administration. So I guess at that point, she makes the decision. And fortunate enough for me, she made the right decision.
What is going on?
Thank you.
What difference will it make for you going forward here?
Well, for a gentleman that's got a good head on his shoulder, to be labeled as a convicted felon for years, it's not a good thing, okay? I've done everything by the book, everything right. I just wanted to get rid of that label.
So there's not a practical reason, it's more your heart.
It's heart, plus my Second Amendment rights have been gone for years. I'd like to see that come back.
Great.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Glenn, to you and Lisa King for being here. And now, Terence, we talked a little bit about you earlier, but we very much appreciate you and your wife being here. If you wish to say anything, you can step right up.
Thank y'all. First, I want to thank God for this day. Finally here. Thank you to my wife who stood by me Thank you to my bishop who always prayed for me. And thank you to my state reps, my senators who always stood by my back. But I most must thank you, Governor, just for doing this. I mean, I told the governor before, she probably don't know, that, that she was going to be governor way before, and she laughed at me. But look at where she's at now.
Sorry.
Yeah, but look where she's at now. This has been, a long journey. This has been something, just a horse around. My charge was me and a friend of mine who was like my brother was horsing around in school. And we was just playing around, he hit me with something and my reaction just hit him with something. And that's where this journey began. Just a horse around in school. Wasn't nothing malice, wasn't nothing, intention, it was just playing around in school. But here I am, 39 years later, getting a pardon. I mean, everybody's here, and I think, we really need to look at, people who are out there just like me, who just made a mistake, years ago, who just wants that opportunity, just to come back to society. I never gave up. I tell my kids, I tell everybody, never give up. Only time you give up is when God called you home and then you gave up. My daughter never gave up. She played for Phoenix Mercury. Her name is Shaylani Petty. If you look her up, you see her journey. She never gave up. That's why I still in all my kids, all the young ones who I mentor, to never give up. Continue to fight for whatever you believe in. Never give up. Because there's somebody out there who's going to hear your story, who's going to listen to your story, and who's going to believe your story. And then they're going to give you that opportunity, to keep pushing. I want to say thank y'all. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And thank you to my state rep, Russell Holmes. Thank you for always being there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How did you come to this? Governor, what specifically are you hoping to change about?
Sorry, just, he asked a question.
I was just going to say, how did you come to this list of 7 people so quickly in your tenure? Who reached out? What was the advocacy of?
Well, there is a normal process. We follow the Advisory Board of Pardons. These were recommendations that had come to the governor's desk earlier, and once we had the opportunity to look at them, we made the decision to take action and recommend these pardons to the governor's council.
Were each of these sent to Governor Baker?
They were previously provided to the prior administration.
How often or how regularly do you plan to pursue clemency? I mean, there was, Bill Weld did a few dozen, but since then they've gradually become less and less. Before Governor Baker did about 15. How often do you want to use this power and be able to grant these?
Whenever justice requires it. And in terms of going forward, next steps, as I mentioned, we're going to be undertaking a process of reviewing existing clemency guidelines, and that will be through communication and collaboration where we're seeking input from a variety of stakeholders. So that will be the next order of business. And in the meantime, should we receive further pardon requests, we'll take them in due course. But this isn't about numbers. It's about people, and it's about circumstance, and it's about ensuring that we have a justice system that is true to the rule of law, that addresses and recognizes head-on some of the systemic disparities and failings within the system, and that is working to make a stronger, fairer, more equitable criminal justice system. That will benefit not only communities long disadvantaged by the current system, it will also make our communities and our Commonwealth safer.
Is there usually a political downside? Is that what keeps it from happening? And somehow either you don't have it because of what your administration came in with, or you decide I don't care?
I don't care. I don't know. I have a job to do. And as I said at the outset, there are any number of responsibilities that a governor and lieutenant governor have an opportunity to exercise. Clemency and consideration of pardons, commutations, and clemency requests is certainly a significant responsibility and one we willingly accept.
The clemency guidelines were tightened under your predecessor. What specifically do you have to change about it? Are they too rigid?
I can't say yet, honestly. I mean, that's part of what the process is now going forward in terms of having a thoughtful, considered look at the current guidelines and figuring out what, if anything, we want to modify or change. But we felt very comfortable moving forward with these recommendations based on the current guidelines.
Last question to Mr. Williams, if possible. Can you talk about the change this will make in your life? And if you had received it even earlier, what kind of a change would that have made for you? If you could just step up.
Way too old for the academy now.
Yes, I am too old for the academy, but, I'm not too old, to still help our community out. It's going to make a big change. Years ago, me and a friend of mine, we were supposed to have started a business together, a security business. And because of this, it denied me from starting it with him, but he proceeded on with it. So I'll be joining him on his security business and helping him out as we planned in the past.
Governor,
Thank
you,
Thanks, Terrence.
Last question.
you previously also said that you wanted to move to harden those with simple marijuana possession conviction, similar to what they did at the federal level, so the wholesale pardon. Do you plan to make that part of the guidelines, or how do you pursue that? That and that part, those type of pardons.
Yeah. Well, I think certainly in the past I've spoken out about this before. I think we need to do so in a way that legally, makes sense. And so more work to do on that, but that's certainly, something that I'm mindful of. We don't want anybody to be set back, held back from housing, from employment, from school, because of a simple marijuana possession violation, which, obviously marijuana is legal here in the state right now. And so more work and more to come on that. But again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank in particular the Governor's Office legal team for their work on this, for the various stakeholders represented in this room who have long done advocacy in this space, to members of the General Court who continue to enact and think about ways we need to make our system of criminal justice fair, more equitable. And I think most importantly to the individuals and their families who are receiving the recommendation of pardon today. They represent, in my view, resilience, strength, perseverance, possibility, opportunity. And that is the role of government, to make sure that we're finding ways each day to create more opportunity for folks and to move forward in a way that is constructive, that is productive. We've got a lot of challenges in government. We're taking them all head on, one by one. But in this realm, we're delighted to be here today. And while Terence, may not join the academy, he may be able to do his security business. I know he will continue, for example, to mentor kids. I know he can still play basketball, which I think is how we met. And we look forward to success for all of these individuals and await what hopefully will be positive action by our Governor's Council. Thank you all for coming.
Good to see you. Mr. King. See you again. How are you?